What's the haps? I'm Meroka, and today I'm going to give you my professional gaming opinion on Hades. This would typically be the time of year when I put together my gaming awards video, taking a look back at the year in gaming and seeing what was great, and maybe what was not quite as much. But frankly, I don't think anybody ever really cared about those videos, and more importantly, 2020 sucked mostly, in gaming as much as in the global pandemic sense. I just didn't really play very many standout titles this year. And sure, some of that's on me for not playing everything, but normally I come across a bunch of great games in any given year. In 2020, the only truly excellent titles I played were Animal Crossing New Horizons and Hades. Let's talk about Hades. Hades is the fourth title from Supergiant Games, makers of Bastion, Transistor and Pyre, all of which were highly acclaimed in their own right. Hades is the studio's first attempt at early access development, beginning on the Epic Games Store in early 2019, with monthly updates culminating in its release in September this year. It's a roguelike, or roguelite I suppose, dungeon crawler based on ancient Greek mythology. You play Zagreus, son of Hades, rebelling against his overbearing father to try and escape the underworld and discover what happened to his mother. Pops is not okay with this. He's built a reputation on there being no escape from the underworld, and he will throw all the forces of hell and beyond at you to try and stop you. Aiding you in this plight are the Olympian gods, Zeus, Poseidon, Artemis, Dionysus and so on, who think it'd be really rad if you came to visit the fam sometime and grant you powerful boons which add special powers to your attacks. When you die, and you will die, for that is the nature of the genre, you wind up back in the House of Hades, because that's what happens to everyone when they die, whether for the first time or the 100th. You'll get to chat with the house's chthonic residents, get berated by your dad, and keep some of the resources you earned in the run to buy yourself a nice selection of perks to aid you in the next run. Darkness buys you personal buffs through the Mirror of Night. Gemstones let you purchase extra features throughout the underworld which can help you on the way. Keys allow you to unlock further weapons beyond your starting sword, which might be more to your liking. You'll battle through 4 regions of the underworld, all beautifully stylized in the classic Supergiant fashion: Tartarus, Asphodel, Elysium, and the Temple of Styx. Each has a unique feel with different enemies, traps, and residents to meet, as well as a final boss fight before you can progress to the next region. And speaking of the classic Supergiant fashion, what's most impressive as you repeatedly make this journey is the sheer incredible amount of polish that's going into making sure it never gets stale. Every journey feels fresh and new. The roguelike format obviously lends itself well to this formula in the mostly random collection of upgrades you'll pick as you go, bringing every run a novel twist. Maybe Demeter will imbue your bow with freezing arrows to snare your foes. Maybe Ares will doom your foes, striking them with divine retribution moments after you hit them yourself. Maybe Dionysus will give everyone a hangover, crushing them slowly with damage over time. Maybe all of these effects can intertwine in really interesting ways. But even beyond this, which is frankly just how the genre works, there's vast amounts of dialogue, and a lot of it is contextual. Aphrodite and Artemis don't really see eye to eye. One's into loving, one's into hunting, so if you pick boons from both of them, you can expect some dialogue from them, throwing shade or outright bickering. If you give various folks gifts to deepen your relationship with them, they'll open up more, and some will even have their own side stories you can progress. It's also genuinely incredible how much attention to detail has been given on the lore side of things. Aside from a few creative tweaks to things, Asphodel is inspired much more by the flaming river Phlegethon than the traditional flowery meadows, for instance. It's surprisingly on the money, even in really obscure bits of mythology. Now, tiny spoiler alert, there's a side conversation between Zag and Dionysus, where they conspire to trick the musician Orpheus into believing the two of them are the same person. He falls for it completely and spreads word of this through song. This, as it happens, is actually a thing. Orphic mythology does in fact conflate these two deities, and this side plot is actually just a really cute way of tying it all up with a very in-character explanation. I'd wager there's hundreds of other bits like this too, and it's only the classics majors, and I guess folks like me who start wading into Wikipedia to find out if Hades actually canonically had a son, because I wasn't aware he did, who will actually pick up on it. I have a lot of respect for that detail. Once you've accrued enough power to beat the final boss and escape the underworld, it's far from the end of it. The plot contrives a reason to have you go again, and again, and again. Even when you beat it enough times to quote-unquote finish the story, there's still more reason to go again, more plot lines to uncover, more relationships to explore. At time of writing, I'm about 48 hours in. I've attempted to escape nearly 60 times, of which 14 have been successful. I genuinely thought I'd stop playing once I finished the main story, but it keeps drawing me back in. I need to see out the epilogue story, which is long enough in its own right, as well as get to know my multiple love interests better, and repair the relationships of a number of other Chthonic denizens. Speaking of which, it's far from anything like a major feature, but the relationship system does allow you to date both male and female characters, as well as a monster? And all at the same time, the son of the god of the dead is a polyamorous pansexual, and an endearingly awkward one at that, and I'm very much here for it. It's the kind of representation that's often sorely missing in gaming. Or actually, any media, to be quite honest. In true Supergiant fashion, yet again, they also give you very fine-grained control over how much you want the difficulty to ramp up after you've got the hang of cracking skulls. The Pact to Punishment provides a rich menu of options for you to pick from to determine how challenging you want it to be, but always dangling enticing rewards in front of you for pushing things just a bit further than last time. Maybe enemies take more damage, or there's simply more of them, or bosses have new moves, or elite enemies have extra powers, or you're doing it all against the clock. Heck, maybe even all the above and more if you're up to it. But then on the other end of the scale, there's a very apt god mode in the options menu if you're more interested in soaking up the gorgeous world and story than pushing the limits of your skills. So there's definitely something for everyone, even if you'd consider yourself more on the casual end of gaming. It is a Supergiant game through and through, which is to say it looks like one. And it looks gorgeous. It sounds like one, and it sounds fantastic. I'm buying the soundtrack on vinyl, try and stop me. It's clearly iterative, in the sense that you can always see where Supergiant are building on everything that worked so well about their previous games, and tightened it up just that bit further, while also making something delightfully unique from everything they've learned. It's a deeply compelling experience. The icing on the cake of all this is that the whole project was accomplished without the studio having to treat their employees like crap, which is a breath of fresh air in an industry notorious for dumpster fire grade employment practices, and then also glorifying those studios relying on those practices. Why yes, I am a touch salty about the 2020 Gaming Awards, why do you ask? Oh, and finally one more thing, because this is the most important question in gaming these days. Yes, you can pet the giant three-headed dog. Cerberus is a very good boy. It also has a fishing minigame, so those are the two criteria met for a game to be 10 out of 10 for me. In my professional gaming opinion, Hades is Game of the Year 2020. Go check it out. Links in the doobly-doo. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Meroka, taking a look at Hades by Supergiant Games. I'll see you in 2021.